Shall we start? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الذين أجرموا كانوا من الذين آمنوا يضحكون وإذا مروا بهم يتغامزون وإذا انقلبوا إلى أهلهم انقلبوا فكهين وإذا رأوهم قالوا إن هؤلاء لضالون وما أرسلوا عليهم حافظين فاليوم الذين آمنوا من الكفار يضحكون صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Today we recited Surah Mutaffifin. I think it's 83. Mutaffifin. Yes, Surah number 83. Mutaffifin 83. 29 to 34. You see,
how long will this be?
Allah calls himself the epitome of love, Al-Wadud. Shaitan's starting point is hate. Allah's starting point is love. Every morning when you wake up, Dunya wants us to hate. We hate our job, we hate our parents, we hate our leaders, we hate our government.
But what if the government is shaitanist?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Hatred starts with Shaitan. And that's how they want us to start. We say that's the cancerous part, not the knowledge part. So why do I recite this today? In our society,
everyone's being ruled.
Good guys are always mocked. They are hated. In Surah Mutaffifin, verse 29, Allah uses the word inna. Invariably, if you are a good guy, invariably you'll be mocked by bad guys. There is no exception. So if you are not being mocked, we know the world is full of bad guys. And if you are not being mocked, check your iman. Because Allah said inna. Those guys, next verse says, they wink. They say, this guy is so off. When they are together, they say, they are the darling. They also use the inna. Good guys, bad guys call them invariably darling. They are the darling.
Yeah.
In our real life, whenever you specify something real, truth, they mock you. I give an example. You decided, one brother came to me and he said he wants to have a drone that is superior to Americans. Share that with anybody? Dollar right there. So what kind of crazy guy are you? You're in Afghanistan, where the poorest, everything, and are you so stupid that you can make something better than Americans?
Yeah.
Right away. Even your relatives will mock you. When you say what Americans are doing technologically is terrible, say, look at this guy. He's not even white. And he's criticizing Americans. And Americans are flying going to the Mars, and this idiot is telling them that those technologies are bad. It's everywhere. Mocking today is mostly done by Muslims, so-called Muslims. The idea is, we talked about Bani Israel, right? The idea is to discourage you from following true path. In technology, if you don't follow true path, your technology is not good. It's common sense. So we're covering all the theories, all of them that were advanced in last 300 years are not only false, they're completely crazy, completely without logic. It's not like close to logic. In Arabic, there is a term, there is a proverb, if it is not logical, it's not true.
Yeah.
Allah is the epitome of logic. So how do you know it's not logical? Question the assumptions. And I list some of those, and we'll discuss some of them. Crazy assumptions have no foundation. And they build on it. Maxwell builds on Newton's crazy logic, and Einstein uses Maxwell's. And now if you criticize Einstein, they say you're crazy. So the idea now is to look back and identify all the assumptions. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha comes first. You have to see the illogicality of their theories before you advance new theory. It's not enough to criticize all the ilahs. You have to say illallah, that part, the logical part. So in this class, we will come up with logical theory that will have no flaw. Only then we know it's real knowledge. So we would not substitute with another dogma, another definition. We substitute with real. And trust me, it's much easier if you are not exposed to that. I told you before, if you have a PhD, if you have masters, if you have a Nobel Prize, you cannot think beyond whatever you have been taught. That's why I say, forget what you have done. Once you have seen all the theories have flawed assumptions, start to think like you are a child. That way you will come up with something extraordinary.
Talk about this tomorrow.
Okay, write it down. So first task is to get your theory, because every work, experimental or theoretical, even modeling or purely experimental, has an assumption behind it. They follow a plan, and the plan is qadr. The plan is the controlling function. So even though if you are doing experiment, you are doing experiment based on a theory. I want you to question that theory and identify the assumptions and see how illogical they are. So we'll discuss a little bit more about the ideal gas law. We discussed last week or last class. They call it ideal, but in reality it doesn't exist.
What does ideal mean?
Ideal should mean most desirable, most real.
Existed?
Like Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was the ideal man. For them, ideal means it doesn't exist. Have you seen American Idol? It's a TV series, right? TV show. Who are the idols? The most corrupt ones. Idols are supposed to be the model. For them, this is the most corrupt. Barbie doll is the idol for them. And Barbie doll, as you know, cannot exist. If a woman is shape of Barbie doll,
They're
that
dead.
woman will never be pregnant.
No, they're going to die 3
It's
seconds.
unreal, completely unreal. They have Jesus Christ, one of the idol, American idol, he looks like Jesus Christ. As if Jesus Christ was white and blonde hair. Completely unreal. Same thing happened with ideal gas law. It's so popular that even Einstein's light theory, for which he got Nobel Prize, is based on ideal gas law. Can you imagine? He got Nobel Prize on this. But how nonsensical it is? It has two major assumptions. Made up of molecules that are in constant motion in random directions. The word random. Remember what he said? The word chaos, the word random, they do not exist in Quran. Is there anything random? Everything is according to Allah's plan. You are stupid enough not to see it, and you call it random. But that's so what they're assuming is randomly moving. We do not, it's like so random that we cannot figure out where it is going. Every molecule by the way does not exist. Its name. There are 69 or 71 smaller particle than molecule. And molecule, the next assumption is not enough. The next assumption is it's rigid. You know what rigid means? You cannot deform. You cannot squish. In nature, there is nothing that is rigid. Especially if it is liquidy. If it is gas, that's the most non-rigid you can have. And they are saying it's made out of. So, it's not very difficult. You can just search, and these are the assumptions. But completely illogical. So, they don't stop there. They find pressure is inversely proportional to volume, which is fine. You can imagine that if pressure goes up, the volume goes down. That's logical. Temperature goes up, pressure goes up, temperature also goes up if the volume is constant. So what you are doing, imagine, if you are increasing temperature, pressure, you are putting stress on the gas. Scientifically, logically, it means you are increasing the ability to increasing the resistance. Right? Anytime you put pressure, the particles resist. So they start to move differently, move more. But you have assumed constant motion. It just defies all logic. You assume constant motion, yet to explain why pressure should increase temperature, you have to see logically that movement goes up. It's no longer constant. But even accept that it is in proportional to temperature. Then I have to take that.
How are you?
That's not enough. They put an equal sign.
What's equal? Like
Not
it's exact?
Not proportional anymore, it's exact. And what is that
Yes.
equal to? N
Wait, you're eating
number
your
of
hand.
moles.
What is eating your hand? Purposely
And?
or accidentally?
No, Excellent.
Yay.
And R is a universal gas constant,
False.
completely made up,
Yeah.
because there is nothing constant.
Yeah. Like
And
for,
to seal
can you
it-
take life as an example that's not
It's
constant?
coming up. Life examples are very true. An equal sign, that means there is nothing else.
False. There's something else.
Like electromagnetic wave, whatever is going on in the environment, the composition of the gas. If you put toxic gas or beneficial gas, different types of gas, it's always the same. That's what equal sign means. So you have closed down any possibility of anything else. Yes, question?
So, actually, when we refer to science, we absolutely agree. I personally absolutely agree. There are so many things which are considered, but they are considering. What I'm trying to say is that, for example, in the case of molecules, as they say that gas molecules behaves as rigid.
Yes.
So the point is
Please.
Oh,
that
sorry, it was a mistake.
Yeah.
I
The-
clicked by mistake.
the point is that they consider it as a rigid, because if it's not rigid, okay, we can agree on that it's not rigid. Nothing can be rigid.
Yeah.
But if it's not rigid, so at which level the deformation would be? Is it not negligible to consider it rigid? That is why I think
Yeah.
I think that's why considering and having these types
go
of
Go back to office.
Mhm.
I can't because you don't know where it is. Yeah.
so having these types of assumptions,
I
they
know
have
where it
come
is, I
up
promise.
with all these
Dad, I
laws.
promise you. I
Half an
know.
hour. Yeah, go ahead. Please.
Yeah, I mean,
Can I go now?
uh,
I know how
these
to go.
types
I
of
know where it
assumptions,
is.
they have come up with all these science laws and theories.
Yeah.
So if they were curious and go to, have gone to all the intricacies that we can never consider molecule as rigid, so none of this theory would have come to existence.
And it would be a good thing. Isn't it?
No.
This is falsehood. You see, it would be a
It's
good
true.
thing. You know why it would be a good thing? Then we could explain. We could explain why this is bad and sunlight is good.
Talk about candy
The
tomorrow.
science theory that we have cannot explain. It will also explain why electricity can damage your brain. This science cannot explain. So, Alhamdulillah pointed out, because of that we are in a mess. We cannot answer any question. You see the point? That's why I said in the beginning, didn't I say it would be better off if we did not have any of this. If you did not go to school, you would be better off. If you are a shepherd in Somalia, you would be better off. Because they have traveled this other path. They have traveled this path. We are here. Now, why are you here? HSS, you realize we are still on Shaitan's Dalala. That's the topic. So Shaitan sent us here. And now they're telling you, depend on us, who will lead you. But
no.
excuse me,
This can
you
I-
led nowhere. You led to hell.
No. Can I say what they will? You will just lead to the downpour, not the better point. Worse
That's right.
point.
Do you see that? All these theories is because of those theories we're in a mess. So what you have to do, recognize that this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, go back. You remember what I said? Correct all the assumptions. What does it mean? First assumption they made
Never
mistake
lose hope.
was Shahada is false.
Who said that?
That's the first assumption. Bad guys.
Which bad
So-
guy?
All the scientists.
Which
So we're
old-
going back to reconstitute. Does it answer your question?
Yes, sir.
So this is the exercise, and trust me, today we'll show you how we can correct it, how we can get the real science. Yes,
So the question about the general gas equation, that
Yes.
Q is equal to nRT.
yes,
This equation just
Wait, this is
right
we are
here
going to this next.
yeah.
for the gases that applicable on the noble gas ideal
Yes.
gases. There is no ideal gases.
That's right. It doesn't
But
exist.
they put a limit for the gases that which gases obey this law are near while passing through this law. For example, in ideal gases will be considered those gases where the volume of the gas molecule is negligible. The ideal gas molecule volume occupied by the ideal gas molecule is negligible, and there will be no force of attraction
So can I go?
between the ideal gas molecule.
Why?
Now, on the basis
No,
of this,
there's people there.
on the basis of this
I'm
ideal
sorry.
postulate that they will put forward for the ideal gases, now they see the rest of the gases while passing through this condition are going to near passing the ideal conditions.
Do you know one gas? Do you know one gas that is close?
No.
Right?
Yes.
Do you know
But,
how
No.
our real gas is made?
Yes.
but the gas which passing near to this ideal behavior, we imagine that this molecule occupies small volume and there will be
You
small
see-
force of attraction between the gas, these gas molecules.
That's a very good question.
Yes, sir.
So what happens, they realize quickly, and this is very typical. PV, what is Z, N, no, smaller,
Oh.
capital R, N, capital R, capital T. Okay, so
It's never equal.
yeah, all of a sudden they added this. Okay.
That is it.
What is Z? Z is a function of pressure and temperature. Now, doesn't that violate the first one? First assumption was what? Right? Ideal gas law, after being used by Einstein, now we have added something here. So this is what we call work with a linear equation.
Linear or linear?
Linear.
Oh.
And then start to add coefficients that have no meaning. Does it have any scientific meaning?
No.
It has absolutely no scientific meaning. You know what it's called in English language? Fudge factor.
Fudge. Like we eat food. Fudge is a food, isn't it? Isn't fudge?
It has nothing to do with science. They first work with the linear equation, then they say we'll make it non-linear. Very typical. Stress, strain.
Dad, I made it correct.
This is the Newtonian fluid.
No, I put U, not A. I made a mistake. I wanted to correct it. It looked so not so
Okay.
understandable.
Stress, strain, that's our viscosity. Anybody in fluid dynamics know that.
I know.
It turns out it doesn't exist.
It doesn't.
This
I
is
know,
the
I know.
ideal is water, isn't it? 1 centipoise. In reality, water viscosity can be 10,000 centipoise, depending on the size.
So ideal condition like in a class we take exam of a subject. For example, we put 100 marks for a student. So anybody that going to reach these 100 marks, I think while they're reaching the ideal condition.
No, we're not talking about ideal cannot be unreal.
Yes.
That's one. The assumption they put, if you identify that this is wrong, right? You would not make a first factor. You would not make correction factor. You come up with a new theory that does not have those assumptions. That's your task. I could have asked you that Mr. Smith came up with this, what Mr. Douglas came up with. That's not my question. I'm asking why Mr. Smith is wrong. Why this is illogical. Only then you can replace with real logical one.
The second question is about the constant motion of gas molecules. That
Yes.
they move constantly.
Yes.
Actually, the pressure originates on the surface of the container is due to the heating of the molecule inside of the container. As the number of molecules inside the gas in the container increase, then the pressure also increases.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
That's
This is logical.
That's logical. But
But,
why did you assume that
if,
to be constant?
If the motion is not constant, it means that the pressure on the container at every side will be different.
And what will happen if it is different?
But there is a constant pressure on all sides of the container which includes the gas.
Is it possible to make a constant pressure? No. You see, always try to see the logicality of every statement. It doesn't exist. Last 2 days ago, we came up with this. Everything they say, every word they say, every word you read is false. It has no meaning. Remember what they say? All Americans, this is again, all Americans speak French.
False. There's one American who doesn't
Right?
speak French.
Macron is an American.
Oh.
Therefore, Macron speaks French. I'm asking you how logical it is. Look at that. I'm not asking you does Macron speak French or not.
Macron
We're
doesn't speak French.
it's very tempting for us to test, is this conclusion logical or not? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you have to go back to the root, find the assumptions that this is so false, I don't want to know if he speaks French or not. That's not my discussion. It's possible that if you increase pressure, the temperature goes up. So that's not my question. I don't care if Macron speaks French or not, but you based it on this. Therefore, this is false. That's the definition of falsehood. It's based on false assumptions. Remember, there is nothing other than no logic exists beyond deductive and inductive logic. They both have two assumptions. Two. That's why I put it here. So you have to attack the assumptions, first assumptions. That's the only task. In the beginning, I said, you have to deconstruct. You have to be able to see this. Don't focus on this. Because it is always, this is the trick of shaitan. Covering up.
Question the premises.
You have to question the premise. Because you cannot fight with this. So what am I talking about? Of course Macron speaks French. So that's not my argument. Right? So in cognitive science, in real thinking process, we have to question the premises. That's why Islam talks so much about Shahada. For 10 years, all Prophet talked about is Shahada. First two premises. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasul. Isn't it true? That's why so much focus. Prophet lived what? 63 years? And 20 years after Nubuwwat, half of it was talking about the first premise. That's all. It's same in research. If you cannot question the first premise, you cannot build the new theory. So, how do you solve this problem? We realize that this is false.
Yeah.
Because in nature it doesn't exist.
Cannot be
This cannot be-
Easter No.
rigid balls cannot be gas. It doesn't exist. Does it look like gas molecules to you? Nothing. It defies all logic. On the other hand, there is real. Ellie, don't go because we don't know. Somebody might be there. This is real. What is that? We call that the galaxy picture. In nature, we cannot see smaller than Dara, smaller than dust speck. Isn't it true? Does it mean doesn't exist? We don't know. It might exist, but on the bigger scale, we know galaxy exists. We can see the stars, right? So we are using that as our model. See, model has to be real. Ideal has to be real. What is model of beauty? Most beautiful.
Dad,
Moon.
Dad,
Huh?
how are you?
Allah.
Yeah, it's beautiful, of course.
That's right. So if you see that logic, right away you say Allah is beautiful. Whatever Allah created is beautiful. According to the dollar sign science, beauty is symmetry. You know, there's a beauty coefficient. It's 7.3. There is a name. They say more symmetrical, more beautiful. Yet in nature there is no symmetry. What does it mean? Allah cannot create anything beautiful. What kind of symmetry Allah has? We have no idea. Everything points to making Allah disappear. Allah is the haq, the real. They make it, Allah is the absent, the unreal. Allah's creation is beautiful. They're saying, according to their definition, Allah's creation is ugly. So you have to be able to see that. So this is real. So by analogy, with deductive logic, you can say, if this is real, maybe a good model of subatomic or sub-Dara, the one we cannot see, is the same. First place, remember we talked about measuring the perimeter of Earth? They assume that Earth is shaped like ostrich egg. They came up with, so there, it was real model. It was not artificial. And they came up with within 1% of what you know today. Same, think about this as the model. For large volume to subatomic volume.
So this
Yeah.
model is put forward by Rutherford.
For what?
Yeah, Rutherford. Rutherford put forward this model of galaxies and the suns and the rest of the planets revolve around the nucleus. While put forward the atomic model.
No, he did the solar one, not the galaxy.
Yeah, solar model.
Yes.
But this model is not applicable here.
Yeah, and
because
what happened,
the
you know?
experimental result of the atomic spectrum
You
was not
see?
matching that.
You see,
Yeah.
this is the point. How did they validate the experiment? They are validating experiment with rigid atom theory. You see, you cannot have assumption which is false for experiment that will validate your real case. It's a very good example.
But the real experimental result was completely different from this
How?
model.
You see, this is the point. Which experiment? The experiment assumed is based on, you see, inductive logic is also based on two assumptions.
Yeah.
So they had false assumption. Their assumption or experimental model is atomic theory,
Atomic model, yes.
right? And this is solar system or galaxy system is not atomic theory. Atoms assume that all of them are the same size. Rigid. Is Earth rigid? Is Sun rigid? Are the planets same size? No. So that's why they're comparing falsehood to falsehood. Who cares if they match or not? So that's why I advanced this one, and this is what it was inspired by. See, two things. We are talking about the size as well as you're talking about the motion. Surah Yasin, verse 38, actually, not 40, sorry. Verse 38 talks about the sun moving. I'm coming to that. 38. This is the sun is rushing. Rushing. Tajri means rushing. It's not just moving, it's rushing. And where is it rushing? Towards a stable destination. Anything but random. Quran is saying that. So that's why I said, if assumption contradicts Quran, then it's false. If assumption contradicts nature, the visible ayah is false. You see how it contradicted that assumption of constant random motion? Completely opposite. Yet, do you know, scientists only found out now, last 40 years, the sun is moving. It was not known before. Muslims were very shy about this because they used to think that the sun is stable, sitting by itself. Muslims are shy, they are hiding this. I said, brother, we can explain. They are shy. Instead of building on this and telling those liars, they were hiding Quran. What does it remind you of? Bani Israel. If it doesn't appeal, they hide it. Now it has come true, and then they are very happy. So, mashallah, NASA has proven us correct. Again, false. NASA has proven nothing, and we'll see that. So now we know the sun moves that kind of speed, 240 kilometers per second. They used to call, even 40 years ago, they used to say it is stable, it's constant, it's in there. Before that, they say Earth is stable. Earth, 240 kilometers per second is escape. But orbital is 30 kilometers per second. Because they have several motions, right? Earth is rotating around itself as well as rotating this way. Plus, we'll see the whole motion is elliptical, meaning it's constantly changing. Moon, even slower. That gives you an idea. It turns out galaxy itself, sun, this speed 240, galaxy is much higher than that. Whole galaxy is moving.
I'll go.
Yeah, please. Don't escape, Lee. So that gives you an idea. So now you look at this, as the size goes up, speed goes up. For subatomic, this is the speed. Atom, because atom doesn't exist, right? they remember what they assumed about atom? Just like sun, it's like stable, sitting there. For electron,
That does go-
it moves. For
that-
atom does move, yes.
That can say something. Why is rigid ball assumption always not known? These two are not known.
No, they're false, that's why. So, as the size goes down, speed goes up now.
What is rigid ball false?
Meaning
Explain,
it
yeah.
means it doesn't squeeze, it cannot squeeze.
Oh,
Then comes the proton, unknown. Quark, unknown. Photon, there's a change from quark. Quark, everybody says, is part of mass. Photon is part of energy. Is it logical to have different part? Can you have energy without mass?
no.
No. So what happened to your quark? It disappeared.
Yeah.
Up to quark they recognize as mass. Higgs boson, they come up with that and they recognize it as mass. But not photon. It turns out there's a controversy. The last Nobel Prize is given on Higgs
What
boson.
time is
You
it
might
and how
know
much
that.
time until this ends?
5 minutes left. But it gives you an idea that as the size goes down, it goes up. So now if I ask you, is it possible that there is something smaller than photon? If you say no, then I say, what is in between? Here's a photon sitting there, right? There's nothing smaller, that means what? Bad guys will tell you there's dark matter, right? They come up with these nonsensical words to fascinate you. Nobody asks, what is in between atoms? You said it is made out of atom. Atom is the smallest one, right? Now you are saying Higgs boson is the elementary. Isn't it true? It's the fundamental. But what is in between? Nothing? Can it ever happen? That violates what? There is nothing. According to them, everything is continuous. That's the continuum theory. So what happens? What happens in the outer sky when there is no so-called dark space? So what are the dark matter? What are those? They say now 73% is dark matter.
False.
So majority, you do not know what it is. You do not even give them name. Now we are saying that's the majority section.
False.
So what that gave, it's a monthly question to ask, nobody asked.
What's
That
the one
what is in between subatomic particles? If you assume they are to be rigid, right? What is the definition of rigid? It cannot be moved.
What is
So
mantic?
there is empty spot.
Mantic meaning, please.
Mantic is a logical question.
Oh,
That will, if you answer that, you get the correct question. So, between quarks, what is
nothing
it?
is between because it doesn't exist.
So this is the one that comes up. You see this, the first one is inductive. We know from observation. This one is deductive. We know,
Nothing is about the galaxy. Lie.
and nobody did that. But what is the beauty of this? We do not stop. We do not know what is beyond galaxy because we know that the whole system, we have no idea where it is going. But we know it's going very fast. So we are not going to assume it's random. It's going somewhere. For our analysis, it's enough to know it's going faster than galaxy, and galaxy is going faster than the solar system. And then, with analogy, we say this is going all the way to photon, but we do not
Oh,
stop
sorry.
there. We do not know what could be smaller. You remember the controversy? They were saying that
No, I wasn't doing it.
they have found particles that are faster than light. Do you remember that? About 10 years ago. So we do not know. There are particles, because so far they say there are 69 particles smaller than atom, according to them. 69 particles are smaller. What you are saying, they are, as the size goes down, their speed goes up. The natural speed, natural frequency. This, if you use that, it covers both mass and energy. You
That-
see, here photon becomes energy, right?
Can I tell you something real quick?
Yes.
You use Google search, you don't make research yourself, and you don't say anything. You just search Google.
What's wrong with that?
That means you're dumb and you only rely on phone.
You see, they never came up with this, did they? But Google search gave me those, because those are their ideas. Google search gave me those speeds. Google search also gave me this speed. So logically, if you apply that, you can track the transition from mass to energy. And that is not equal to mc squared because that's illogical. It would be something that would be real. We do not know what the relationship is, but at least we are making the framework. That's where modeling comes into play.
That's when what modeling?
The beauty of this, now we take a simple case.
Water.
Remember I said, if you do not know new science, you're better off. Look at water being heated in a clay container, a clay stove, firewood. Is there anything wrong with this
Yes.
water? You have water, you have epsilon of wood, you have epsilon of clay, you have epsilon of
Yeah.
air. So if your air has poison, it got in there. But your air does
What
not
if
have
the
poison.
wood had poison?
No, we're coming to that. If wood has arsenic injected to it, which many people
Clay.
do, then it's poisonous. But at
Clay.
least you're keeping track.
What's clay?
So if this wood is good wood, there is nothing wrong. But what happened with new science? They ignored this. Those
They
are
ignored
epsilon,
what?
negligible. So water becomes